That's why, do you know what the number one job of somebody that sold their soul in Hollywood is?
What?
Is to act like it didn't happen. They all do the same job.
Katt Williams just dropped a truth bomb that connects directly to what Nipsey Hussle knew all along about Diddy, power, and silence. This isn't gossip, it's the story behind the curtain. Katt Williams has always been more than just a comedian. He's a truth teller wrapped in humor. Lately, he's gone even deeper, saying he knows why Nipsey Hussle pulled away from Sean Diddy Combs. And it isn't about tabloids or shade. Nope, Katt says it was fear. Real fear tied to something Nipsey actually saw. His vocal cords didn't tremble when he spoke. Instead, he spoke with quiet gravity. That tone matters. It's not a punchline. It's a reveal disguised as a whisper, and it lands with serious weight. Those who followed his appearance on Shannon Sharpe's Club Shay Shay podcast earlier this year got a preview.
All of these big dick deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is. TG Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all.
Katt didn't mince words when he said that everyone, Diddy included, will see all lies exposed by mid-2024. And guess what happened? The Department of Homeland Security raided Diddy's properties in connection with a federal sex trafficking probe. His legal teams cried foul, calling it overkill, but the timing aligned with Katt's warning. The powerful aren't invulnerable. He's been doing this for months, staying under the radar, calling out corruption by name. Now he's tightening the circle around one explosive connection: Nipsey and Diddy. Katt's latest public statement centers on this. Nipsey knew things. He felt things. And ultimately, he backed away from more than just a person. He backed away from something he thought would swallow him whole. Nipsey wasn't distancing himself for clout control. He was doing it for survival, alert, aware, and always intentional. Let's trace the narrative thread. In early 2024, as legal pressure mounted on Diddy, whispers circulated about wild, multi-day parties. Parties where sex and drugs mixed in ways that later became allegations and federal indictments. Instagram stories and testimonials from celebs like Ashton Kutcher described events that raised eyebrows. Kendra Wilkinson said she didn't personally witness abuse, but she added that these gatherings weren't necessarily PG. And stars like Usher and Ray J expressed shock once the details emerged. That atmosphere, charged with secrecy and rumor, created an industry electric with tension. Katt Williams didn't just observe, he steered clear. He's been pretty outspoken about saying no to Diddy's invitations, even allegedly turning down big money in the name of self-respect. That decision matters. He speaks from experience inside those rooms. He's not guessing. He saw enough to want out. So now he says that same environment scared Nipsey Hussle. Katt frames Nipsey's silence not as a sign of friendship, avoidance, or ego. It was the instinct of a man who'd seen enough. And instinct matters, especially to Nipsey. And Nipsey had learned the hard way. He didn't just vanish, he retreated. He refocused on his community in South LA, building clothing lines, investing in real estate, starting community centers. He became a symbol for regeneration, for healing scars that ran deeper than gang violence. During this time, Katt says, Nipsey was having conversations with close associates, low-key, but charged with meaning. He voiced concerns. He felt something was off about Combs and what he represented. Let's pause and absorb that. This wasn't gossip, it was worry. Nipsey, the visionary entrepreneur and peacemaker, whispered caution. And when someone like Nipsey whispers, listen, these statements don't come from just any random platform. They came through Katt's live streams, dropped into viral clips, then picked up by media pages that specialize in verified trending, like Page 6 and Yahoo Entertainment. That amplifies the gravity, because this isn't a street rumor. It's echoing across platforms. Katt doesn't embellish. He doesn't dramatize. He's spoken softly, even respectfully, about how Nipsey walked away. He spoke with caution, not glee. He looked like a man choosing his words carefully, aware of the legacy on the line. He's not trying to brand himself a detective. He's saying what he heard, what he saw, and what he believes happened inside that circle. Multiple credible voices now support this bigger picture.
I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times. 4 times just to protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right. Because P. Diddy be wanting the body. And you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no. I did.
The civilian world got more validation when Diddy was indicted over sex trafficking allegations involving alleged forced encounters. Celebrities described discomfort. Federal agencies showed up at his house. Again, Katt said the messages would come, and they did. The narrative arc from rumor to legal action wasn't immediate, but it followed Katt's personal timeline, adding to his credibility. When insiders speak, people listen. So what do we make of all this? We see an ecosystem, rumors turning into headlines, then into federal investigations. We see celebrities feeling betrayed. We see Nipsey stepping back while building, healing, and rebuilding. We see Katt speaking from inside the noise to preserve the truth and respect those who spoke it before it became headlines. This goes beyond celebrity gossip. It asks a larger question. How often do we celebrate success in the spotlight and ignore where shadows creep in? Nipsey didn't ignore. He walked away. And now Katt's publicly saying, pay attention. You can sense the respect in Katt's voice. This isn't a roast, it's a tribute. Nipsey deserves respect for making a tough choice, and Katt gives it gift wrapped in honest delivery. He builds a story with restraint, using Nipsey's potential fear not to vilify, but to explain. It's cinematic in its simplicity, a hero stepping away because he felt something was wrong. What are the stakes here? Plenty. The conversation forces us to read between the lines in celebrity culture. Wealth and influence can mask danger, but the people who see it and leave are the ones who matter most. Nipsey was one of them. He walked into the abyss of power and walked out. He protected himself by respecting his own instincts. Katt isn't satisfied with letting this drift away like tabloid fodder. He knows the mechanics of celebrity spin. He knows how easily something dangerous becomes entertainment. He's pushing against that. This isn't a punchline. It's a cautionary story, and it matters beyond this one moment. Because today, people are waking up to the cracks in power structures, whether it's entertainment, politics, or corporations. Whistleblowers and walkaways matter. They often pay the biggest price by stepping back, but they also hold the most valuable currency, truth. That's why Katt's words crumble the distance between inside rooms and outside perceptions. He's offering perspective, a rear-view mirror after someone powerful turned a corner. And in that mirror, we see something serious. He layers it with history. He references Tupac rumors too, saying he'd never let someone walk around scot-free if he believed they were responsible for harming cultural icons. That echoes his position now. He claimed moral courage then and again now. It isn't tonal drift, it's continuity. And as clear as Katt's conviction sounds, the narrative remains incomplete. We don't have direct proof Nipsey filed complaints. We don't have audio leaks. We just have the testimony of 2 men, values, instincts, and choices woven together. Nipsey walked a path. Katt described that path. The world may choose to follow, or not. But one truth remains: fear doesn't lie. And it's a red flag when someone as dedicated to community and legacy as Nipsey Hussle acts out of fear. A warning, a lesson, and Katt's raising that flag high. This also reframes public memory. When tragedy struck Nipsey in 2019, it shook the world. People remembered his charisma, his books, his mentorship, his investing in a corner store, his relentless community engagement. Who would have guessed he was also managing serious concerns behind the scenes? Now that reality is surfacing, it doesn't negate his public work, it deepens it. We realize he was building not despite fear, but alongside it. On the other side, what about Sean Diddy Combs? He has denied wrongdoing and accused investigators of overreach. His attorney called law enforcement's moves a witch hunt. Though the legal proceedings are ongoing, he hasn't been convicted of anything related to these issues. The network of alleged behavior, wild parties, alleged coercion, recordings, paints a picture of power mingled with vulnerability, excess with secrecy. And now Katt's testimony pushes that portrait forward. That's why this story is bigger than any individual. It's a moving puzzle piece showing how fame, power, legacy, and self-preservation collide in real time. People like Nipsey walk away. People like Katt chronicle it. We, the public, decide how we hold space for it. And here's what really matters right now: voices that speak the truth, calmly, clearly, and without a need for applause, should be heard. In a world drowning in noise, we forget how strong silence can be. The loudest courage doesn't always shout. Sometimes it moves quietly. It doesn't beg for attention. It simply refuses to lie. Not every powerful moment needs to be dramatic. Sometimes it's a silent walk away, a private choice to protect one's soul over a flashy paycheck. That's what Nipsey Hussle did. He didn't need headlines to prove his truth. He lived it, quietly, with purpose. And now, years later, his choices still speak louder than most interviews ever could. Katt Williams saw that, and he remembered. He spoke up when others kept their heads down, not because it made him more famous, but because it honored something real. His words weren't just gossip. They were a nod to a man who moved with integrity. And in doing that, Katt made a powerful decision. He didn't just say something risky. He stood next to a legacy. We live in a time when powerful people still hide behind silence and contracts, when truth is buried under PR campaigns and clever edits. But what if the most powerful tools against that are not lawyers or microphones? What if they're real conversations between real people? What if they're quiet warnings and trusted memories? When there's no camera, no proof, just character, that's when truth becomes a personal compass. That's when people like Katt and Nipsey matter most. Because their choices weren't about spotlight. They were about staying clean when the system wanted everyone dirty. Right now, Katt's voice echoes the quiet refusal Nipsey once made. And that kind of courage? It's rare, it's honest, and it reminds us all that real strength often sounds like silence, but it leaves a lasting mark. Let's put it plainly, this story should unsettle us, not because it confirms anything definitively, but because it gives us pause. It reminds us that the industry is full of red carpets and red flags. It reminds us not to celebrate everything that glitters. And it reminds us that when men of moral conviction walk away, there's a reason. We owe it to their memory and ourselves to look deeper. In the end, this story doesn't wrap up shiny. There's no redemption arc or public apology yet. There are more questions than answers, but there's one conclusion that feels undeniable. Nipsey Hussle chose safety over spectacle. Katt Williams honored that choice by speaking up. And now we all have to decide if what they're telling us matters enough to listen. No one should rush to miracles, arrest warrants, or court verdicts. That's not Katt's request. He's just shining a light. Rising above noise, offering context, respecting history, challenging us to see what isn't obvious. And maybe that's the power behind this emerging narrative. It wasn't scripted, it wasn't promoted, it was whispered. But in that whisper is a story that refuses to be silenced. If you felt the truth in this story, hit that like button, subscribe for more real talk, and stay tuned, because voices like these deserve to be heard loud and clear.